不思議だな。桐生さんと話してると時間が経つの忘れちゃう。この前恋愛は当分いいとか言っちゃったけど、桐生さんみたいな彼氏なら欲しいかな。
俺もカナみたいな恋人が欲しいさ。
本当ですか？両思い？
カナ。
ダメですよ。店長とキャストが付き合っちゃ。
Hey, hey. Uh, I'm just playing video games. Just playing video games here. Yeah.
I've been playing Yakuza Kiwami 2 for the last month or so. For those unfamiliar with this title and its respective franchise, the games are action-adventure with JRPG and beat-em-up elements throughout. The main protagonist of the majority of these games is Kiryu Kazuma, a reformed Yakuza who is an honorable and stoic character with a complicated criminal past. The main story is serious in tone, as you would expect from a gangster genre video game, but what makes the Yakuza series so entertaining to me is its abundance of wacky side quests. From helping a very obvious parody of Michael Jackson's Shoot 'Em music video while fending off zombies, to coaching a dominatrix who's too nice to be intimidating, to finding a fresh pair of underwear for a stranger stuck in the bathroom stall. Yeah, these 180 tonal shifts really scratch an itch for me. And these games are not too terribly difficult, so I can casually play and treat it like it's a sort of novella. And this novella series has an interesting enough story for me to continue putting hours and money into playing. So Yakuza 2 is the third installment in the franchise that I have played. I first played Yakuza 0, which is the prequel to the entire series, and then I played Yakuza Kiwami 1, the remake of the very first game from over 20 years ago, I believe. I gotta be honest with you guys, I haven't beat Kiwami 2 yet, and that's because I've been stuck playing this minigame in there for multiple hours, and I have to talk to you guys about it. The minigame is the Cabaret Club Grand Prix, where Kiryu finds himself becoming the floor manager of Club 4-Shine and Sotenbori, competing in a national tournament against rival establishments. This management minigame was also in Yakuza 0, but I skipped it, so this game is my first introduction to this gem of a minigame. As is typical with Yakuza sub-stories, Kiryu finds himself in interesting scenarios. This time, he stumbles upon a sketchy transaction with the antagonist of this minigame, Kanzaki, offering to buy out a floor manager for Club 4-Shine as part of his goal to complete his monopoly of the Sotenbori nightlife. Shortly after, Yuki, the owner of the Club 4-Shine, mistakes Kiryu as the floor manager that just got bought out. Some players may recognize Yuki as she was a hostess in Yakuza 0. It's been 20 years since the events of that game took place. She's now known as a legendary hostess who now owns her own business. At the start, Yuki only has 3 hostesses, including Koyuki, one of the main characters in the minigame. The two ask Kiryu to be the club's floor manager and help turn Club 4-Shine into the #1 hostess bar in all of Japan. The management minigame at first was really overwhelming for me and just introduced all these new mechanics that I had to learn, and since I picked it up again, I've had a lot of fun with it. You set up your staff for the night and assign a hostess with matching stats with a customer whose preferences range from love, party, skill, or talk. Customers range from poor to average, rich, and tycoon, so the best strategy is setting out your best hostesses for the wealthy customers to help really rake in the dollars. As you perform well, you fill a gauge. When it's full, you activate Fever Time, where multiple tables start spending big simultaneously and you get a massive cash spike. Your hostesses level up the more you use them, so even some of my weaker characters can chum up the rich customers now. I mean, I built an empire over here, guys. And a lot of these girls joined my cabaret club after I completed other side missions. We got Miki, who I helped inspire to go after her singing career dreams in one sub-story. There's Yoriko, who joined after I rescued her kidnapped sister. What else? Oh, Etsuko, who was in the previous installments in the franchise. She's an old woman who wears a god-awful cheetah shirt and can talk up a storm. Her ability to yap made her my girl whenever I have a customer who wants someone to talk to. And how can I forget the headmistress Suenaga, a dear old lady who is the leader of the orphanage that Kiryu grew up in. After completing her sub-story, she joins the club and damn, her love meter is so high, she crushes it, man. She was an all-star for me.
So impetuous.
The objective is to climb the ranks by earning the highest revenue in a single shift to challenge league champions in head-to-head matches. The competition is divided into 4 leagues. There's the Fresh League, which is the starting league, culminating in a match against the Hiroshima Sweet Goddess. There's the Paradise League, where clienteles prefer party stats. And then you have the Executive League, introducing stricter rules, including a 6-hostess restriction per shift. And then the Millionaire League, where players face the Kineicho Platinum Goddess, featuring guests who can request specific high-tier hostesses, which limits your strategy. But along with the main minigame of managing a cabaret, you also date key hostesses you gain along the way. And look, I swear it's not as weird as you may think. Kiryu mainly gives life advice to these platinum hostesses and doesn't cross a weird pervy line, thank God. But don't get me wrong, there is a little bit of flirting, but Kiryu is a respectful man, damn it. The dating feature is where players get to learn more about these characters, and each and every single one of them has an interesting enough background, a lot of layers to who they are and their personality, and a lot of effort was put into this. Mind you, this is just a mini game.
だし、背も小さいし、もっと綺麗な子はたくさんいますから、超一流にはなれないと思ってるんです。
カナが超一流になれないことはないと思うが、まあ、カナはまだ若いんだ。可能性はいくらでもあるさ。
They talk about emotional abuse, lack of trust in others, their own insecurities, and struggling to figure out whether people like them or their personas. As is consistent with Kiryu's character, he listens and provides advice to these ladies, if you press the right options, of course.
棒社員でやるとしたら何をやろう?
In fact, it's these dating segments where Kiryu reflects on his own past in such an intimate way that I felt really dove into the mind of this main character, that I've played for 3 games now. It's really cool.
ゆうさんですか? 私もお会いしてみたいです。
俺もまた会えるもんなら会いてんだがな。
There's also a character customization feature for these platinum level hostesses. I crack up every time the music changes to this when you go into the customization section. It's probably the aspect of the cabaret minigame that seems most like an afterthought, but still adds to the hilarity of you stopping your playthrough of a violent mob video game to play dress up. Alright, let me talk about the platinum hostesses you add to the team after each league you win. Much in the style of the early years of the One Piece arcs. Right from the start, we have Koyuki, as mentioned before. She's a college student who discloses to Kiryu that she comes from a poor family, and she has a real lack of self-esteem, especially over her appearance. In the Fresh League, Kiryu and the Four-Shine team compete against Kana, who joins after being fired by Kanzaki after he ridicules her, saying she's useless and how she's sullied the Kanzaki group's name. This guy really sucks. Kana treats her job as a hostess very seriously and is very competitive, but learns to loosen up after a few dates with Kiryu. Oh, and she also loves to eat. And then after winning the Paradise League, the club gains Aika, who is a Kuro Gyaru. Kuro Gyarus are a 1990s, 2000s trend that centers on women having really tan skin, bleached hair, and a lot of makeup. Perhaps it's best described as the Japanese equivalent of that Jersey Shore Y2K era style. Aika is carefree, loves to drink, and is pretty heavy on the flirting with Kiryu. Honestly, once she joined the club, the minigame got pretty easy thanks to her strength in partying, really balancing out my team. It was so easy that I flew by the executive league, winning over Shoko, who has the nickname the Perfect Queen due to her professional mannerisms, which comes off almost robotic. Shoko is an avid manga reader and is struggling to separate customer fantasy from her own real feelings. Her side mission sees her taking Kiryu's advice to submit her own written manga into a magazine competition, which she ultimately wins, showcasing her coming out of her shell and separating herself from her reputation as a robotic-like person. The game isn't too difficult, honestly. If you manage to grind for 30 minutes, you can even win some of these leagues with a really weak lineup. The game rewards you simply for putting time into it, and honestly, I'm cool with that. When you advance to the final stage, the Millionaires League, you have to run the club without Koyuki, who went missing. After easily winning, in my case, it is revealed that Koyuki was being harassed by a group of thugs sent by Kanzaki, but Youda, a former character from the Cabaret Club minigame in Yakuza 0, is back and saves the day by explaining everything. Who else shows up? Goro Majima, another main character in the series who was the floor manager in the previous Cabaret minigame. But that wasn't the end. The host who provided limited commentary during these matches, named Buono, is revealed to have worked for Kanzaki this whole time. He scurries away and Majima replaces him as the host, an improvement for sure in the game. So now, finally, we have to face Kirara, an old disciple of Yuki in the hostess industry. Oh, and Yua joined after winning the Millionaires League. Yua, a skilled hostess herself, used to be a famous idol and gravure model. In fact, I had to throw hands at some paparazzi who are blackmailing her as part of her sub-story. So here I am taking on the final hostess battle after putting a good number of hours into this minigame. Club 4-Shine rising from the bottom to take on the Cabaret Grand Prix Grand Champion Sotenbori Sunshine. I sent out my all-star team, a gauntlet of stars here, including the Mamas Etsuko and Headmistress Suinaga, ready to pamper these rich boys and drain their wallets. Yuki's legacy as a hostess legend was never at stake with me here, let me tell you. Kirara kept it close for a bit, using some power of hers to remove some of my customers from my establishment, and I had a bit of bad luck at the start with no tycoon level customers to spend lots of money, but the girls killed it regardless. Headmistress Suinaga was providing love to one of the few tycoonists, Yua started partying up with another, and soon the customers were throwing bans left and right, and I took away the win. For good measure, the oil baron dropped in with all the hostesses ready to indulge him with all he's worth. Time to spam that button. After winning, Kirara acknowledges she was driven by competition and makes amends with Yuki, women supporting women in a dominantly male-run industry. Who would have thought such a powerful and progressive theme lies in a Yakuza game? The Cabaret Club Grand Prix minigame explores the concept of greed, with Kanzaki explaining at the end here that during his time at Sunshine, a previous establishment, he co-signed a loan for a friend, saddling him with massive debt. Out of desperation, he took a financial advisor's suggestion of buying out cabaret clubs to recoup. He forced out girls making the most money and jeopardized the club's bottom line to lower its value. At first it felt wrong, but it paid so well and it was so easy to do, I was able to justify it. I mean, Kanzaki basically used a value manipulation asset stripping tactic, intentionally hurting a business or parts of it so you can acquire or control it more cheaply than profit later. I know people who are affected by the strategy in real life, particularly in real estate, where landlords or investors can neglect maintenance on their properties to drive tenants out, lower a building's perceived value, or simply buy out tenants or flip the property later. Driven by his greed, Kanzaki sabotaged cabaret clubs, financially hurting hostesses, and still investors pressured him to do more and more of this type of activity. He was stuck in a loop and he became a villain. Like, I'm playing this and thinking, damn, that's real. But kudos to the writing behind this minigame, because Yuki says she won't fall for temptations of an abundance of wealth because she takes pride in her work and her staff. No matter how easy the money or how simple my life might become, I would never disgrace my club to do it. I'll prove work isn't just a shortcut to wealth or to some final escape. If I don't, it wouldn't be fair to all the girls who put their dreams on the line to work for us. Good stuff, Yuki. Cabaret clubs are not some sleazy quasi-strip club kind of venue that I wrongfully assumed at first. It's a place where people can go and have company, where hostesses can provide drinks, conversation, or play a little karaoke. Or if you're poetic about it like Yuki, it's a place that sells dreams to customers. And if a club doesn't have the customers backing that support, then the club doesn't deserve them at the tables. Kanzaki and Buono are arrested for their schemes, and Kirara joins the staff. It's a solid ending to a minigame that did not have to be as in-depth as it was. I put about 6 hours into this minigame, and I'm very impressed with all of it, particularly how these characters were treated. They were never the butt end of a joke or were degraded. They served as key characters in my playthrough, and it was great to see a mob game boost women rather than use them to only boost Kiryu's character. As for Kiryu himself, I love him even more now after seeing him sort of step down as the main character to serve as a means to an end for the player to get to know these hostesses. At the end, he's acknowledged for helping them reach their goals, and I get a satisfying ending to a minigame I won't forget.
1、2、3。
放射員